I've got to take a second to thank my channel members. Guys, your all support means the world to me. I really can't thank you all enough. If you're watching and you'd like to support the channel by becoming a member, just hit that join button beneath the video. I think it starts out at like $1.99 a month. Becoming a member puts you on the front lines of helping to grow this channel, and it's greatly appreciated. Welcome to the channel, guys. We're looking at a really awesome suppressor today. The B&T Print X SD suppressor. Probably the most modular suppressor I've ever had on the channel, and possibly one of the most modular suppressors to exist on the market. And as the name suggests, this is an SD suppressor, so it works in SD firearms. Hence why I've got my HiTec Arms MKE AP5 SD out. This suppressor was provided to the channel by HiTec Arms. I really appreciate them for that. There's not a whole lot of information or videos on YouTube about the Print X SD suppressor, so we're trying to change that, get a little information out there for you guys that are interested in this suppressor. I do have the B&T Print X can installed there in its shortest configuration. This happens to be my preferred configuration for this can with the vented end cap. I find that this configuration is plenty quiet enough. You know, it's got a really nice tone to it. It's absolutely low back pressure. You don't get a lot of gas back, or really any gas back at all. So I really prefer running it in this configuration. It's short, it's compact, it's handy. But like I said, with the Print X SD, you have other configurations to consider. You have 6 other options that you can run this can in. It can be run in 6 different configurations. So you've got the subcompact configuration with the vented end cap. You can also run this with the solid end cap. Then if you wanted it a little bit quieter, you can add a section. That would be its compact configuration, and you can run that with either the vented end cap or the solid end cap. And finally, you can put 2 of the short sections together, add that to the main can here. That's going to be its full length configuration. And of course, you can run it with either the vented end cap or the solid end cap for a total of 6 configurations that you have the option of running with the B&T Print X SD suppressor. So in this video, we'll go over the specs and features of the Print X SD. Then we'll do some shooting and test it out in each one of these 6 different configurations, so you guys can get an idea of how it sounds and how it behaves in each configuration. So be sure to stay tuned. You're not going to want to miss the B&T Print X SD suppressor. Guys, I need to take a minute to tell you about our channel sponsor, Aura. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number, or why your email's always full of spam, there's companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make it incredibly difficult, nearly impossible to do. That's why I recommend our sponsor, Aura. They take care of the hard part automatically. You don't have to lift a finger. They make sure your info is removed from these sites and that your phone number is removed from these call lists. I've personally been flooded with calls from marketers and scammers and find it incredibly annoying. Aura is an all-in-one digital security tool. They don't just protect you from marketers and spam, you also get 24/7 monitoring to keep your identity secure, real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking. You get alerted if your info's found on the dark web. Aura comes with a secure VPN, a password manager, and antivirus software. You get US-based support available around the clock if something goes wrong. Aura includes $5 million in identity theft protection insurance. That's a little more peace of mind to let you know you're protected. You get access and control all these levels of protection in one app. And the best part is you can try Aura free for 14 days using my link, aura.com/Kentucky Tactical. In those 2 weeks, you'll discover where your data is being exposed and sold. I'm not leaving myself vulnerable, and you shouldn't either. Alright guys, the B&T Print X SD suppressor. Here we've got it out of the gun. It's a very unique looking suppressor. Of course, it's completely 3D printed from titanium, so a lot stronger than your usual SD suppressors. Most SD suppressors are made from aluminum, which is plenty strong enough for subsonic 9mm, which is all you're ever going to shoot from an SD gun. But this can, completely made of titanium. It's still incredibly lightweight, very, very lightweight as a matter of fact. But that titanium is going to give you a little bit more peace of mind in the durability of this suppressor. This can be made of titanium, and just shooting subsonic 9mm through it, this can is going to last multiple lifetimes. While we talk about this can, I'll go ahead and roll in some photos of it in its subcompact configuration, compact configuration, and its full-length configuration. One of the best and most important features of this suppressor is going to be its reduced back pressure system. This can does have low back pressure features designed into it. You're going to get a gas flow through system that goes around the perimeter of the baffle system, and out the front of the suppressor here you have vents that's going to allow that gas to escape out the front of the can. And your vented end cap is going to have ports along the perimeter that perfectly line up with the ports in the can here. If you want to have a little bit quieter system and you're not so much worried about gas coming back, B&T does provide the solid end cap here, and what the solid end cap does is block the ports off. So that's going to keep that gas from flowing out of those ports. By restricting that gas from coming out of those ports, you're going to get a much quieter shot, but that gas does have to come somewhere. So you're probably going to get a lot more of it back down the barrel and back out at the shooter. This suppressor is threaded 18x1, which is your standard SD threading. This can works with all MP5 SD barrels, and it'll work with first generation APC9 SD guns. Unfortunately, as the can comes from the factory, it will not work with the Broad River Tactical Car 15 SD, though I did talk to somebody that sent their can back to B&T. They made a modification and got their can back, and it now works with the Car 15 SD. This suppressor doesn't seat like a traditional SD suppressor. It has a small taper here at this threaded section on the end of the can, and that taper is what's going to bottom out on the threads of your SD barrel. So there would be absolutely no need to run an O-ring in your SD firearm if you're running this suppressor. Of course, this suppressor is bored for 9mm. It weighs in at 8 ounces in its shortest configuration like you see here, and in its full length configuration it weighs in at 17.1 ounces. In its shortest configuration it's 7.9 inches long. In its compact configuration with just one section added, it's 10.8 inches long, and when fully configured it comes in at 13.7 inches long. It's 1.5 inches in diameter and comes with a Type 2 anodized finish, typically in gray. This version, as you can see, is black, which I much prefer. It looks so much better in the MP5. If you'd like to get a black version like I have, which I highly recommend, go to HiTec Arms, ask them for the black version, and they'll probably hook you up. Alright guys, we've pretty well went over all the specs and the features of this suppressor. Let's get it mounted up. Let's see how it sounds. We'll start off with the shortest configuration and a vented end cap. Alright, for our shooting portion, we'll be picking up sound through 2 different microphones. I've got a Comica Boom shotgun mic right here in front of me. That'll be our main microphone, very high quality, very nice microphone. On top of that, whenever we transition to this camera, then we'll be picking up sound from this Comica Boom lapel mic. Another very high quality, very nice microphone. So that gives us a couple different sound perspectives. We got the shortest configuration with the vented end cap. The short configuration is surprisingly very comfortable. It doesn't bother my ears at all to shoot it in this configuration with the vented end cap, no problem. Pay attention to the gas. You'll notice all the gas gets ejected out front. I'm not exposed to any gas back at the shooter whatsoever. And that's why this setup's my favorite configuration. I'm not getting gassed out, and the sound is perfectly manageable, very quiet still, no discomfort to the ear. It's very compact, and I just think it looks really good in that configuration. Alright, now let's try it in the shortest configuration with the solid end cap. Alright, now we'll be running the closed end cap in the shortest configuration. Should be just a little quieter than the last configuration. Definitely takes a little bit of the bark out of the sound. Definitely getting some more gas back here at the shooter. Alright, not bad. Definitely more gassy. You absolutely get more gas back at the shooter with the solid end cap. With the vented end cap, I didn't notice any gas whatsoever. I could visually see all the gas being ejected out the front of the suppressor. Sound is better with the closed end cap, which is to be expected. But in this configuration, I don't think the trade-off's worth it. I don't think you gain enough sound to tolerate the gas back to the face. Alright, now let's check out the compact configuration, and we'll start off with the vented end cap. And here's a look at the compact configuration with just one section added. Not bad at all. I could definitely live with this. Still looks pretty good, almost to the length of the traditional SD suppressor. Let's see how it sounds in this configuration with the vented end cap. Oh yeah. Really quiet, no gas to the face. Alright, now that's really nice. Maybe this is my favorite configuration now. That sounded really good. Wasn't getting any gas back to the face. So maybe I'll keep it in this configuration. That sounded really good. Quite a bit quieter than the subcompact configuration. Alright, let's see how it sounds with the solid end cap in this configuration. Alright, compact configuration, solid end cap. Alright, definitely got a little bit gassed out there. The sound was fantastic. Sounded really nice. But again, with that solid end cap, you got to decide if you're willing to trade off just a little bit quieter of a shot for all that extra gas back to the face. To me, it's not worth it. I'm sticking with the vented end cap every time. Alright, we got one more section we can add on. That'll be its full length configuration. Let's test it out in the full length configuration with the vented end cap. And here we are in the full length configuration. To me, that's just a little bit too long and unwieldy, but this is going to give you the absolute best sound performance. No matter with the vented end cap or the solid end cap, it should definitely be the quietest setup possible with this suppressor. We've got the vented end cap installed right now. Let's see how it sounds. I am getting just the tiniest amount of gas back to my face. And again, we are running the vented end cap. Most of it I can see is being ejected out the front of the suppressor. Definitely very quiet, and when I say I'm getting a little bit of gas back at the shooter, I do mean the tiniest little bit. Nothing that I would ever complain of. I'm not really gas sensitive. Been shooting suppressors for many years. Back before low back pressure cans and flow through cans were really that popular. So gas doesn't really bother me a whole lot. Of course, I want to limit my exposure to it as much as possible, but a tiny little bit like I was getting there, absolutely no problem at all. I'm guessing with the length and the full configuration, it had enough time for some of that gas to come back down the suppressor. Would be my guess, was the reason we were getting gas to the face there and not in the shorter configurations. But we're fixing to get a lot more of it anyway. Let's throw on the solid end cap, see how it sounds. Alright guys, full length configuration with the solid end cap. This will be our last configuration. Very, very quiet. Very, very quiet. I'll go over my final thoughts with you real quick and then we'll end this video. Really very unique, very versatile, very modular suppressor. I definitely like this can. If I were buying an SD firearm and needed an SD suppressor, this is probably definitely the one I would buy. As far as I know, this is the only modular SD suppressor on the market, and it's a really cool idea. Although I don't know if I agree with the 3 sections. I think it would have been better served to be a 2-piece suppressor, to where you could run it in the 9-inch K version or add a section to make it into the normal full-length SD suppressor. So a suppressor that went from 9 to 12 I think would have been a little better, probably a lot more useful. In its full configuration like this, it's definitely impressively quiet. So if you really wanted to show off for your friends, show how quiet SD gun could be, this with that solid end cap is definitely going to be impressive sound wise. I definitely preferred it in all 3 configurations with the vented end cap. The vented end caps and the reduced back pressure system of this suppressor worked very well at reducing gas to the face. You could see that gas being ejected out the front of the suppressor through those vents. So that reduced back pressure system definitely works and works very well. Another very nice aspect of this suppressor is its lightweight. The titanium construction, of course it's entirely 3D printed of titanium. That being the case, it's a very rugged suppressor while remaining very lightweight. This suppressor will definitely last you a lifetime. Shooting subsonic 9mm, there's just absolutely no way you're ever going to wear this can out. One negative I would have to give it is, if you've seen it in its natural finish, the gray finish, I just don't understand why B&T introduced it with the gray finish. I do not like the gray finish whatsoever. It doesn't go with the MP5 SD at all. Maybe it looks better on APC 9s or something else, but the gray suppressor on a MP5 SD just really clashes. I don't like the look of it at all. I was very, very happy to see this black version from HiTec Arms. Again, I need to thank HiTec Arms for sending out the suppressor so we could check it out, take an in-depth look at this suppressor. Really appreciate them for that. HiTec Arms has been a very good friend to the channel for quite a while now. Guys, we'll go ahead and wrap this video up there. Please take a second to hit that like button if you like the video. Please take a minute to comment FYP, comment whatever. Any kind of comment helps with the engagement and I really appreciate it. I do try to reply to every single comment I get, so if you'd like to have a discussion about this suppressor or literally about anything else, be sure to drop down in the comment section. Also, if you could take a second to hit that hype button. Don't know if it helps out at all on gun channels, but it couldn't hurt anything, so please take a second, hit that hype button on this video. Guys, be safe, be dangerous, and be sure to catch me on the next video.